Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, it's on Love 99.5 FM in over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Freed in Nandom, Lonlonyo FM in Hohoi, Jata FM in Karaga, Swiss FM in Ho, Buipe FM in Buipe. Go digital on Facebook, Spotify, and myjoyonline.com app in this edition.
On one social rice cooker. She boiled the water in a rice cooker and she took me into a room and tied me to a chair. Then she asked her daughter to hold the hot water whilst she held my hand in the hot water.
Doctors race against time to save a 9-year-old girl whose hand was dipped into boiling water until it developed blisters.
Already, all the fingers and the palm are edematous. The child is already unable to extend the fingers. We need to separate the fingers.
We have details of that also coming up. Defilement, stealing and armed robbery top list of crimes, sending Ghanaians to prison, with 80% of culprits aged between 12 and 35 years. We have analysis for you. The GRA has taken its public education on e-levy to the church.
As men of God, you also have a responsibility to educate your congregation on the need to honor the tax obligation.
We'll find out why later and also take you to Washington, D.C., where President Akufo-Addo has told of how his faith and belief in God aided him win the presidential seat.
It took 3 tries for me to get elected, by which time the popular catchphrases of God does not want Akufo-Addo to be president. Akufo-Addo is short. He does not have the stature to be president. You had to be firmly rooted in your faith to have the courage to persist.
We have more on what the first African leaders said at the inaugural Africa lecture of the Museum of the Bible in the United States of America. In sports,
well, Hartlepool could help rivals Asante Kotoko inch closer to the Premier League title this weekend. More details later.
And later, President and all students of Adisado College say their dream of winning a second National Science and Maths Quiz Trophy is on course after they beat St. Augustine's College and 2 other schools to become Central Region champions. We hear from quiz mistress Dr. Thelma Ohineje, who is unimpressed with the performance of the girls' schools. We have that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Many thanks for your company once again.
On one social rice cooker
in the hot water. She held my hand in the water until it developed blisters. Then she used a razor blade to cut into the blisters.
No, mama, no time blade no do papa yanina.
The chilling story of a 9-year-old girl at Goso in the Ahafo region who says her guardian dipped her hand into boiling water until it developed blisters. Her crime: she had taken her guardian's 2 cedis to buy food after being starved for many days. The hand is now rotting away with fingers stuck together. Doctors say she may not be able to use the fingers again unless surgery is done immediately to separate them. Irasa Sasaridonko traveled to Goso to meet the victim, doctors and police as well. This report contains a lot of sensitive details. Listener discretion is advised.
Looking weak, frail, and in pain, Stephanie sports a left hand in bandages and open wounds on 2 fingers on her right hand. Stephanie was named after the husband of her alleged abuser, Ellen Sewa, due to his benevolence. The Pentecost Church elder, Stephen Nketia, requested to bring her over to stay with his family. The child speaks of persistent caning and starving until late last month when she took 2 Ghana cedis to buy food.
On Friday, no, the son.
With anxiety in her eyes, she tells me how she was punished by her stepmom.
In the hot water. She held my hand in the water until it developed blisters. Then she used a razor blade to cut into the blisters.
Her biological mother, Margaret Foucault, is shocked at the development.
When I saw her, she had her hand wrapped in cloth. I asked what was wrong, and she was crying. I was shocked when she uncovered the wound. I questioned why she did this to my daughter, and she knelt down crying. I'm appealing to people to help me financially to restore my daughter's hand.
Dr. Deborah Mensah at the Bebiani District Hospital told Love News the girl needs urgent surgery to increase her chances of saving her hand.
The burns is very severe. Already, all the fingers and the palm are edematous. Our major concern right now is that the child was not brought on time, and so there are already complications from the burns. The child is already unable to extend the fingers. They are matted together. We need to separate the fingers. It's unlikely that the hand was in the water for a short while. If that were the case, then we would only expect like maybe 1st degree burns, which would result in blisters and would usually heal quite quickly. But for there to be contractures and things, it's more than a 1st degree burn. Most probably the hand was kept in the water for a bit of time.
At the house where the abuse took place at Goso, we met Stephen Nketia, husband of the suspect. He told our news team the suspect, a nursing mother, is sick and has since regretted her action. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Goso, Ahafo region.
We can now hear from ASP Mavis Perfect Kamasa, is a DOFSU commander for the Ahafo region, and she says her outfit is proceeding with prosecution despite claims the suspect is unwell.
As the suspect was released on bail by the court, and she is to reappear to court on 31st of May, we are also speeding up with our investigation so that we can get the docket ready by then, so that we properly prosecute her.
Well, that video and also the report of Erastus Asaredonko is live right now on our Facebook page, and would advise that viewer discretion is exercised. It's also live on myjoyonline.com. Let me bring in Erastus Asaredonko, who's been following up on this story, joins us on the line with more on this. Erastus, please give us details about the condition of this girl as we speak.
In fact, the girl is highly traumatized. If you look at her face, it shows somebody who has been through a lot of trauma. And the doctors tell me when they are trying to stretch the fingers or even dress the wound, she will shed tears all through the procedure, despite painkillers that they administered. And so it tells you the kind of agony she's in. Currently, we advised, and in fact we impressed upon the doctors that he should be referred to Konfanoche Yesterday, we assisted the family to bring them to Confanoche. They are currently admitted at the children's ward. Plastic surgeons yesterday came to see her, and they've started examination of the hand. They are yet to tell us whether they will be able to save the hand, whether they will be able to do surgery, what it will cost to do the surgery to save the girl's hand. And so we are waiting patiently for them to finish their examination and give us their verdict.
In your interaction with this 9-year-old girl, did she say how long she's been going through this ordeal in the hands of the guardian?
In fact, the girl has been staying with the family for about 2 years. She tells me that she gets caned a lot of times. You know, the husband does not stay with the wife throughout. He works at Brekum. And so he goes for like a month, and then he comes around. And so she says she's been going through that ordeal. She gets starved most of the times. When she's going to school, she's given 1 Ghana cedi to buy food. And between the school and even the house is about 7 miles. And she treks that road alone. The woman uses a motorbike to send her own children to school, and sometimes they meet her on the road and they don't pick her up. That's what she told me. And so she's endured this for a long time, and it's surprising that her biological parents were not attentive enough to know this and rescue her earlier.
But where are the biological parents as we speak?
In fact, they are farmers in a village far away from Bebiani over there. And so it was the mom who was informed by a neighbor that if she doesn't come for the child will die. And that's how come she rushed to the place to find the girl's hand in that condition. So currently, as we speak, they are the Confanoche Teaching Hospital assistant doctors to take care of her.
And briefly about the suspect, you mentioned that she's unwell. What exactly is her status?
Currently, when we went to the house, the husband told us that she's regretted her actions and has been crying since. She herself is nursing a 5-month-old baby, and she's gotten sick out of this whole thing. That's what the husband told us. And in fact, I must say that the husband is also with the girl at the Confanoche Teaching Hospital, assisting them to take care of her.
Erastus, many thanks for your company. Subsequently, we'll bring you more on this particular story that Erastus Asari Donko is following up on for us. Let's turn our attention to some other stories, and apologies once again for the sensitive nature of the details of this particular story. Now, there are too many young people in Ghana's prisons. They are aged 12 to 35 years and constitute more than 80% of the country's prison population within a 5-year period. Defilement, stealing, and armed robbery are the top crimes which got them incarcerated. Shortly, we'll have a conversation about why many of our young people are getting into trouble this way when we speak to an ethics expert. Now, though, here's Kofi J of our research desk with details of that particular data. Kofi, what's the breakdown?
Emefa, so this data was released by the Ghana Prison Service via a request made by the Finder newspaper. And so there you have it, 38,589 persons in prison between 2015 and 2020, of which a little over 31,000 are youths between the ages of 18 and 35 years, representing 80.3% of the entire prison population within the period under review. Now let's focus on the youth. So the total number of youths imprisoned, expressed as a percentage of the total convicted criminals, hit the 80% mark in 2018 and has since been kept above 80%. It was 77.6% in 2015, dropped marginally to 75.4% in 2016, then a significant jump to 80.9% in 2018. This figure rose to 84.4%, the highest in the 5-year period, then dropped to 82.9% in 2020. It is interesting to note that Emefa, the over 31,000 youths in prison in this 5-year period does not include 2017 data. So according to the service, it is still verifying the 2017 data, which when ready, could significantly increase the numbers.
Interesting data there. Let me bring in security analyst Dr. Adam Bona. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News, sir. So help us understand from the security point of view why so many young people, 12 to 35, are getting themselves in such trouble.
Well, thank you very much, Emefa. I think this is not the first, probably, data that some of us have been privy to. We've been privy to some of this information long before today. But the simple reason is that a lot of the young people don't have jobs. And if you go beyond the young people who don't have jobs, if you go and check, most of these people also belong to one church or one mosque or the other. So apart from the fact that, their communities have failed them, these religious bodies that they belong to have also failed them significantly. Look at their age bracket. This is supposed to be the age group of people who must be in active employment. And so as far as I'm concerned, it is so because these people are not meaningfully employed. Society has failed them. And even the fact that if you look at our justice delivery system, we don't have anything like non-custodial system in place. And so if you were to steal a bunch of plantains, the law says you should spend 30 days in prison or you pay a fine or 30 days. If you are not able to pay the fine, you spend 30 days in prison. And so some of us have been advocating for the non-custodial sentence and proper rehabilitation. They go to prison and they come back worse. So if you go into the database, most of these people are, re-offenders also. So, Emefa, these are some of the issues we are faced with.
Yeah, but if lack of jobs or unemployment is the main issue, it's interesting that defilement is on top of the list of the crimes before stealing and armed robbery. How do we explain that?
Oh, Emefa, if you work in a factory, you are working a shift, you are working night shift, or you are working during the day. You'll be too tired to go and be doing some of this. And apart from that, you have parents who are not also too responsible. So the parent is giving birth. You have, also our traditional, or call it the way we try to settle these matters. The young girl visits, what do you call it, a family member, and that family member says, so that's my niece. And the next thing you see is that young girl is defiled, and they say they are going to deal with it at home. And so as far as I'm concerned, there are the factors that culminated into what we are seeing. That we are only scratching the surface, Emefa. We are just scratching the surface.
Well, Dr. Adam Bona, we're grateful for your time. That's a security analyst who's been looking at the figures. 80% of the country's prison population within the last 5-year period are those between aged 12 and 35. And defilement, stealing, and armed robbery are the top crimes which got them incarcerated. We've been looking at that. I was hoping that we could be joined on the phone by an ethics expert also to look at the situation. But let's move on to some other stories. I'll take you to Washington this time. And President Akufo-Addo has retweeted his stance of being a Christian in politics, unashamed of asserting his faith as part of his political calling. Speaking at an inaugural Africa lecture of the Museum of the Bible in the U.S., the president cited how he won a keenly contested presidential election despite the odds against him. He therefore admonished Christians to imbibe their faith as an integral part of their chosen careers.
In my own life as an adult, whether as a lawyer or as a politician, I've always tried not to lose sight of the fact that my Christian faith should be an integral part of the practice of my chosen. It took 3 tries between 2008 and 2016 for me to get elected, by which time the popular catchphrases of Akufo-Addo cannot be president, God does not want Akufo-Addo to be president, Akufo-Addo is short, he does not have the stature to be president, had become so prevalent, you had to be firmly rooted in your faith to have had the courage to persist. I committed that third election campaign to God and indicated to the Ghanaian people that the battle is the Lord's.
Amen.
Amen. By God's grace, I won a famous victory against an incumbent president by a gap of nearly 1 million votes, the largest margin of victory. The largest margin of victory for 2 decades. I'm a Christian in politics who's unashamed of asserting my Christian faith as part of my political calling. It is this faith and this belief in God's power to transform difficult situations into beacons of hope that has animated my vision for me moving Ghana to a situation beyond aid and putting the country onto the road of self-reliance, sustained progress, and prosperity.
You heard the President Akufo-Addo at the Museum of the Bible, and he is the first African leader to have delivered that lecture at the Museum of the Bible in the United States of America. And we know that the narrative, history, and impact of the Bible, it opened on November 17, 2017, and has 1,150 items in its permanent collection and 2,000 items on loan from other institutions and collections. Well, let's stay a while longer in the church. This time, here in Ghana, the Ghana Revenue Authority has prevailed on religious bodies in the Ashanti region to help in the smooth implementation of the electronic transaction levy. The authority believes religious leaders can positively influence their members to better appreciate e-levy in national revenue mobilization. The GRA engaged religious leaders on filing of tax returns online via the GRA's taxpayers portal. There's more in this report.
The government has challenged the Ghana Revenue Authority to collect over 80.3 billion cedis in revenue this year. The authority believes this target can be achieved if Ghanaians voluntarily honor their tax obligations. The GRA is, however, urging religious leaders to educate members on the need to pay taxes. Ashanti Area Director of GRA, Agnes Akosia Edubuatin, spoke at the sensitization program for religious leaders.
I want to encourage everyone here present also to embrace the electronic levy, the e-levy implementation policy, which began on Sunday, May 1, 2022. Even though few challenges were reported, efforts are being put in place to resolve all the teething problems. As men of God, you also have a responsibility to educate your congregation on the need to honor their tax obligation.
The GRA is piloting the electronic VAT system for collection of revenue added tax. The digital platform deployment by GRA is in line with the Commissioner General's transformational agenda. An e-commerce registration portal has been developed for non-residents engaged in e-commerce and digital services to charge VAT.
That's a report from the Ashanti region, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We've been looking at doctors racing against time to save a 9-year-old girl whose hand was dipped into boiling water until it developed blisters. When we return, we have sport and then we hear from present and old students of Adisadel College who say their dream of winning a second National Science and Maths Quiz trophy is on course after they beat St. Augustine's College and 2 other schools to become Central Region champions.
How much do you love your mother? Do you think she deserves a life of goodness? If we gave you a bottle of Frytol vegetable oil and a bag of Fortune Delight rice, what meal would you prepare for your mum on Mother's Day? Could there be an emotional or sentimental story behind your mother's favorite rice dish? How about asking Mama to relax in a cozy environment while you cook that special meal for her? If you want to do all this for Mama, just send us a photo of you and your mum, along with the story behind the meal and the ingredients for it. Share all this with us via WhatsApp on 055 1111 997 and simply stay tuned in. We will call you with the next steps. There are lots of other amazing prizes up for grabs in the Cook for Mama promotion. Cook for Mama is brought to you by Fritol. You deserve a life of goodness in vitamin A fortified oil. Woodin. Shop Woodin's Mother's Day collection for your mum or mother figure from Woodin retail shops and points of sale. Woodin, Le Créateur. A Yiwa restaurant. Food is the ingredient that binds us all together. Mobile Doctors Ghana Limited. Doctors at your homes and offices. City and Habitat. Rent to own. Cook for Mama, because she deserves a life of goodness.
Mama, I just want you to know, loving you is like food to my soul.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the Midday News. Let's do sports. Oreku Ampofo. What's in sports?
So let me go down the road of science because of the question that you've asked me. And Emefa, you know that milk is a base and then vinegar is an acid. And so the two of them don't mix. And this theory applies to two sets of fans in Ghana, Heart of Oak and Asante Kotoko. They don't mix at all. But this weekend, there could be something historic because Heart of Oak in their pursuit to get victory this weekend could in effect almost secure the title for Asante Kotoko. Let's get an explanation in this report.
Hearts of Oak will look to replicate their performance at the Nanaja Boss Park last season when they visit Bechem United this weekend. Last season, the Phobians recorded a 1-0 victory away against the Hunters, which helped the Phobians to their first title triumph in 12 years. This time, although victory could move Hearts into second position on the league table, it could essentially wrap up the league title for their sworn rivals, Asante Kotoko. The Porcupine Warriors have a 9-point lead at the top of the table over Bechem United. And if Bechem United fail to beat Hearts this weekend, Kotoko could extend their lead at the top to 12 points with just 6 games to go, a gap which could be too big to overturn.
That's the details on this weekend, the Ghana Premier League. And so now Hearts are in a limbo. They went to go to second and essentially almost hand the title to Asante Kotoko. And losing two would affect their form. So it's a difficult time to be a Heart of Oak fan, I must say.
Please leave us alone. Which school did you go to again?
With the signs that I started with, it should give you a clue. Of course, it's Presec.
Oh, please. It's time for NSMQ. And we are leaving Accra. We are heading to the central region, and the present and all students of Adisado College, gather round. You are the champions. Let's leave Kwabuche and Adisco out of this. You have been saying that your dream of winning a second National Science and Maths Quiz trophy is on course after you beat St. Augustine's College and others to become Central Region champions. The celebration of the first regional title continued deep into the night after they were crowned winners of the APSA National Science and Maths Quiz Regional Championship. Maxwell Agbagba was there for us. Here's his report.
In 2019, St. Augustine's College won the maiden edition of the Central Regional Science and Maths Quiz Championship. Wesley Girls High School won the title as regional champions in 2020. Infantsipim School won the title as regional champions in 2021. And now, all hail the 2022 Central Region champions at Adisado College.
New champions. It's all excitement here at the Center for National Culture. This is the moment of pride for all of them.
Adisado College fought hard to get this. It was a close contest throughout the first 3 rounds in the finals, until the 4th round when it became clear it was going to be Adisco's day. The contestants say they are determined to win the national glory for their school.
We are going to put in more work. We know this is not the end. We are going to put in more work, and then hopefully, by Allah's grace, inshallah, we will come back stronger.
Okay, I wanted to hear more of that song. Were they talking about Kwabuchi? Okay, they say Kwabuchi Wario. Okay, let's me take you to Bogatanga now in the Upper East region. And Navrongo SHS just won its first of the 2-level qualifier by beating Chiana SHS and OLL SHS. My colleague Manuel Kranting is with us, joins us with brief details. Manuel, what can you report?
Yes, to Emefa, just like with Kwabuchi Wario in the central region, in the Upper East region. China SHS was at the bottom of the 3-school tie with 23 points. OLL Girls SHS was second with 26 points. And Navrongo SHS, which actually was seeded in the 2020 edition, won with 38 points. Currently ongoing is Zibila SHS with Mirigu SHS, Sirigu SHS, and Sandima SHS. Now, all of these schools, after winning their very first contest, would have to, battle it out again tomorrow for the second level of qualifiers because there are only 5 slots here in the Upper East region to be grabbed.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague Manuel Kranting with updates from the Bogatanga or the Upper East Regional Championship. Well, the quiz mistress of the Central Region Championship, Dr. Thelma Ohineje, is unimpressed with the performance of the girls' schools. I'll leave you with that. That's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Living Word with Pastor Men Sotabil. A word in season is up next. Please.
Particularly with the Holy Child and Wesley Girls competition, I noted in particular it was an issue of speed because every single time Wesley Girls rang their bell, they were second to have rang their bell. And even if we always say that even if you know the answer and you don't have speed, you can't, yeah. So I think it's still a matter of the speed, or I don't know if it's also that bit of confidence push to that daring thing. I think the boys would always do risk it.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from MTN. Someone has just sent you money and we will need you to enter your PIN number so that we can put the money in your account.
Hey,
Hey, oh, Dada, MTN will never ask you for your PIN.